Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. Wait, hold on. We're having a problem with it.
What's the problem?
I don't know. Candy.
Right, you're live. It's fine.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Mad Mouth. Glad to have you with us tonight. So we have a great show lined up, and the title of the show, believe it or not, is Kansas City ready for the National Hockey League. Well, you know what? I got news for you. Stick around and you'll understand exactly why I'm going to talk about it. So let me introduce our crew here. We got Candy from the South Florida Tribune. Welcome back, Can.
Thank you. Good to be here.
JB Ellis, welcome back. I know you're busy with the
What's
Super Bowl.
going on?
There.
Yes, well, glad to be back.
And Rick Curdy, well, going to be busy man this week.
Yep. Hi, guys. How are you?
And, of course, Jacob.
What's going on?
Long time no see. About a minute and a half, 2 minutes over our Pundits Planet. And last but not least, spoken Jeremy B. All right, Jeremy.
How's it going, Scott? Great to be here with everybody. Good to see everybody here. Haven't seen you for a minute, JB.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's been a few, but, I'm doing what I do. Got to keep it busy.
All right. Well, like I said, we have a pretty busy agenda here. So tonight I'll be introducing a new segment called America's Sports Towns. Tonight the focus is on Kansas City, who have the Chiefs already in the Royals. And obviously those are successful franchises. But they have an empty stadium that used to be called the Sprint Center, as a T-Mobile Center, which is equipped for basketball for 18,719 and ice hockey, 17,544. And it's only a 15-year-old venue. Now, the Kansas City area used to have the Kings, which are now obviously in Sacramento. They actually used to be the Kansas City Omaha Kings as well. And the NHL used to have the Kansas City Scouts, who then relocated to Colorado Rockies and now the New Jersey Devils. Now, those particular teams played over at the old Kemp Arena. And this venue, the T-Mobile Arena here, actually houses a Big 12 men's basketball tournament. So it's not like they're tenantless, but I definitely believe that of all the different franchises out there between the NBA and the NHL, I believe the NBA would be a little too pricey for the Kansas City market, but the NHL I think would be an ideal fit because the salary cap structure isn't too high. And obviously it's more of a low, I hate to say low budget compared to a lot of them, but I would say that it probably is. And I think Kansas City deserves another chance. And the reason why I say that is the Arizona Coyotes have been in turmoil for over 20 years, and they're playing in a 5,000 rink, sharing it with the Arizona State Sun Devils. So with that said, okay, Jeremy, I'm going to go left to right. What are your thoughts about the fact that Kansas City should get another NHL team and give them a second chance?
It can't be worse than Phoenix.
Right.
I mean, plain and simple. The Phoenix market was good for the minute they had Jeremy Roenick, and then all of a sudden their attendance dwindles. They don't show a lot on TV except in local markets. It's not a good draw for the NHL.
Well, and it's been dysfunctional. Many, many years ago when I lived in the Phoenix area, I've had my situations with PR guys, and I understand why this one was upset with me. But they were playing at what they called the America West Arena at the time, where one of the goals was actually in a situation where you can barely see it. And I said they ought to be playing over at the Arizona Memorial Coliseum, charge a little bit more money is what they should do. And as a result, okay, that would have been a much, much better situation otherwise. And the guy got on my case and I never went back again. But as far as I'm concerned, okay, the Coyotes have been a mess, are still a mess. And Kansas City's got a ready-used stadium anyway. I looked at it today, and it's not a bad little venue. And the Arizona Coyotes are an absolute mess. They really are. So, Jacob, I hate to see buildings that are brand new, 15 years old, not even being used on an anchor tenant. Like I said, the NBA to me, okay, I think that the salary and the fact that there's a lot more to obtain a team in terms of franchise value, the NHL would be an ideal fit to go back there. What do you think, Jacob?
Normally you'd be right, but you got to realize this as owners now. It's the fact that we talk about the 15 years old. Georgia Dome was like 22 to 25 years old and they left. Got the Mercedes-Benz Center now and everything. It was like 35 years old for the original Busch Stadium. They went to the other Busch. Maybe 40. But here's the thing. The biggest issue is the fact that the renovation, and it would have to be renovation to get that pro ready, to be able to get people in there. It's a competitive world, which means you can't just have the T-Mobile. Was it T-Mobile Center or T-Mobile the brand? But you can't just simply have the T-Mobile Center or whatever that is now. There has to be businesses around it. You have to have so many. You have to have so many club seats. You have to have so many of this. You have to have ready for the wealthy, the whales.
Right.
You get my point. Not the whalers, even just the big rich people. You have to have everything ready for them now. And is that too bad? In certain cases, it is, because Kansas City is a wonderful city.
Right.
It's a wonderful city. You can be able to get a lot of things. But St. Louis is just about, maybe Green Bay, but it's just about the one city left that can have nothing going on but sports.
Right.
It's like St. Louis as a city's in trouble. If the sports die, the whole city dies.
Right.
So it's like they're the last of it. Everything else. You got to remember, Chicago's going to be building that dome. They're going to get out of Soldier Field. They're going to be building that dome in Arlington Park. That's going to be billions of dollars worth. It's a competitive market now. So yes, I would agree that 15 years old it should be used, but there would be very expensive to get that ready, because that's exactly what would be. Because otherwise, if you make it just like it is right now, like it just looks like a minor league, then people would lose interest very quickly.
Well, let me tell you this, though, Jacob. That stadium is ready to house hockey. The biggest thing about Kansas City is they don't have a real winter sport. They don't have basketball and hockey. All they have is the NFL, and they have Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll mention comments as well. I love it when they come on. And Will obviously seems to hit on them all nowadays. Anyways, I agree with Scott that the KC deserves an NHL team, and Arizona's struggling for many years in the NHL. Well, I lived it, yeah. And, of course, Jennifer, why not? Let's bring Jennifer on here. There you go, Candy. Here's one of your biggest fans there. What's up, fellas? There you go, Jennifer.
Hi, Jen.
There you go. So
Hi,
there
Jen.
you go. So the reality of the situation is they've got the Royals and they have the Chiefs, but they don't have a bona fide winter sport, whether it's basketball or in the NHL, which is why I'm on the bandwagon that they should get a team. When you look at all the fact that there are some other teams that could, who knows, maybe a team from Canada can move there. We've seen that happen before too, when the Nordiques, went over to Denver. So I don't want to steal Rick Curdy's thunder, but where are you going with this one, Rick?
Well, do they deserve a team? Yeah. Will they get one? Probably not.
Right.
Arizona needs to go. The most logical place for them to go would probably be Houston, so they can have a rivalry with Dallas and Houston. I think that's what the NHL wants to do. I think Kansas City, I think they're just too much of a small market. I don't think they can support an NHL or an NBA team. So that's just my opinion on it. But do they deserve one? Absolutely. I'd love to see one there. But I don't think the NHL. I see more like Quebec getting an NHL team more than Kansas City.
They need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm pulling for Kansas City nevertheless. All right, JB.
Listen, hockey puts teams in very strange places. There's a team in Columbus. There's a team in Arizona which couldn't afford to pay its taxes, and now it plays in an arena the size of my bedroom. It's pretty sad with what the NHL does. A lot of the teams moved out of Canada, which is always a good spot for the NHL, and I think that's a spot where they need to get more teams. Going to Kansas City, I don't see as being the answer for the NHL. Could Kansas City host a team? Yeah, that's not a problem. But if you want to grow the NHL, hockey's a Canadian sport. It's the number one sport in Canada. In America, it's clearly number 4. Is it going to do anything for the NHL to throw a team in Kansas City? Probably not. St. Louis isn't that far. It doesn't make much sense to me. I don't see, why not just throw a team at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn since the Islanders moved to Long Island? We can have 4 teams in New York. Why not? The NHL makes no sense. But yeah, I would say go back to Canada before you go to Kansas City. And, even Houston doesn't make much sense. They
could put Garrett Cole in there so they can boo him.
Right?
All right, well, before I turn over to Candy, let me just point out here the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. So there you go. You can hear us anywhere you want, and you can go from there. Also, please hit the red subscribe button for South Florida Tribune. So you go to YouTube, South Florida Tribune, and then hit the red button. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Is there another thing I should also point out that we just incorporated? Want to be a guest? No problem. Send a topic to southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and we'll go out there and fit you in with the appropriate show with your suggestions. So we're obviously looking for more participation. If you have something worthwhile, we'd love to have you on and interact with our group of experts. All right, Candy, you're the last one here to talk about this one. Go ahead.
Well, so typically when they evaluate potential locations for NHL teams, they look at three things. One, whether the market has a building or suitable arena facility. Check the box. They do. Two, the demographics of the market and whether they suggest an ability to support an NHL franchise. And three, whether there is a qualified and interested ownership to own and operate the franchise. Those are the key questions. Do I think they could host it? Sure, they could host it. But you could throw one in Milwaukee too. I mean, you could throw one in, there's a lot of different towns you could throw one in. Do they deserve it? Probably. They already have the arena, but again, so does Milwaukee. There's a lot of different towns. Like JB said, you could throw another one in New York. You could throw one in, let's face it, Jacksonville. You could throw
Charlotte.
Charlotte. There's a lot of different places.
There's so many places.
Do I think like Florida already has two teams? Do I think they need another one? No, because hockey, I think, is a cold weather sport, and you think of more of the people that practice it and play it are more northern teams. Like you said, it's a Canadian sport. It started up there. So do I think Kansas City is going to get it? No.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, on to the next topic, players' responsibilities to talk to the media. I know Jacob would love this one. Marshawn Lynch got fined $1.2 million for not talking to the media. Far cry from Steve Carlton of the Philadelphia Phillies. And by the way, for whatever it's worth, all Marshawn Lynch is doing is working for Amazon. So, you know what? Mr. Mainstream Media, Jacob, we're going to lead off with this one. Why not? And then we'll turn it around with everybody else. Give me your take on this one.
The biggest thing is, why is the media, why is these players, why do you have to enable them to do that? Why do they have to? Why is this mandatory? For one thing, you say one tiny little detail to take it completely out of proportion. Then you've got 3 days. You got 3 days worth of a story, and it's like, and that's not fair to the players in itself. And then you find them for not talking to somebody that might ruin you if they don't like you. This is where the media is. The media is at this thing. They are there to build you up so they can tear you down, so they have themselves a story. And most of the time, the tear down is not fair. Most of the time, and sometimes they're there to tear you down immediately if they want to make a narrative. We got to remember, all they're doing is building a script without a script. They're building a story without the script. They're building it. They're just building their own little movie. They're just, I said this tonight to somebody. And I'm just talking about online before shows and everything, or just even before that. I said, the internet isn't real. The media is not real. And people are getting tired of it. Athletes are getting tired of it. Movie stars are getting tired of it. Everybody's fighting back on them. So, no, it should not be. The thing is, there are enough players with the ego to want to talk to the media. They want to get out there. But this should not be mandatory. Not at all.
What's your take, Jeremy? You're muted.
You're muted.
You're not only blind, you're deaf.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I hear you fine. I couldn't speak.
You're
That's
not only
mute.
blind, you're deaf.
I'm mute. But anyways, Jacob hit the nail on the head. The media is not what it used to be. News used to be an unbiased source for information, and right now it's so biased, whether it's left wing or right wing, because they're all both a part of the same bird that's been flipping off the American public for since 1914, but that's another story. It's bad. I mean, social media is a joke.
Right.
And Marshawn Lynch, let's talk about what he's done in his city of Oakland. He's gone home. He gives out hundreds to thousands of turkey dinners to impoverished families every year. Mm-hmm. He's a great guy. Yep. I can care less that he works for Amazon making his money. Let him make his money.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Rick.
Well, I think it should depend on who wants to talk to the media and who doesn't want to talk to the media. I think the media should be allowed to ask questions, but also I think it should be depend on who you have there and who you're not. Hey, Marshawnlynch is never going to talk to the media, so they shouldn't have to force him to do it. But they should get maybe like someone else talking to the media. So I think it can go either way. It just depends who they talk to. But I agree, the it's so biased now. Social media has just destroyed our living civilization. Just the lies and the bias and all this stuff. But do I have a problem with media asking questions to them? No, as long as they're questions related to the game and all this stuff, not this gotcha questions about their personal life and all. I could care less. As long as they keep it about the game, that I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to say real quick, Rick, you're correct. I'm just saying this. You're correct, Rick, and you are totally right. The biggest thing about it is there's not enough of you, and I wish there were. There's not enough of you, because if there were enough of you, they'd stop, because they lose their advertisers, they lose everything. But there's too many others that think social media and the thing what they do and the electronic world is their whole life. They don't know how to communicate properly. They don't know how to communicate face to face. They don't know how to do any of that. If there was a use out there, a bunch of use, then it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I'm going to address Will's question because I'm on the inside more or less more than you guys are. Yeah, a lot of times the players of higher stature do talk to the media, such as the captain and the head coach. So, well, what you're saying actually does happen, and locker room access has changed a little bit. And of course, communication people are enforcing things a lot more than they ever have. And of course, social media has played a part. So, with that said, JB, where are you going with this one?
So, Smoke and Jeremy, Jacob, Rick, are you guys real? Because we're all media.
I understand that.
I don't know.
No.
Where you guys can come up and say that they shouldn't, have to talk to media. It shouldn't be a
pundit.
requirement. Hang on.
Pundit, though.
You're media. Automatically you're media, right? So these guys want to get $45 million. Daniel Jones has the audacity to ask for $45 million right now. You know what? If it wasn't for the media that blew up the Super Bowl and covered every little thing that these guys do, they wouldn't be worth 10 cents. So get out of here.
Yeah, but they lie. But they lie so much, though, JB.
Jacob,
they lie a ton.
Jacob, that's on the people that run the media and the people that watch it. You have to know what's true, what's not true. We all have brains. Don't be a sheeple. Be a people. It's really simple. Think for yourself. If you can think for yourself, you're all good. We can tell what a phony story is and what isn't a phony story. These guys want to get these paychecks, $60 million in the NBA, $50 million for Lamar Jackson. They want to make this money. Guess what? Go out in front of the media. Talk about the game. Do you have to discuss things about your personal life? No, you could say, I'm not going to answer that question. And guess what? They're not there for that. They're there to cover you as an athlete in the game. And there is nothing that you can do to stop that. But once you say, no, they don't need to talk to the media, or, you start saying, this guy can take the day off because who cares? Guess what? They all suffer. And it makes everyone lose money. So bad take by all three of you below me.
Well, let me get this thing here. If I can, I hope I have 56 more years left. I'd be 100 years old. I hope I have 56 more years. And in that 56 more years, if I could help even put a little dent in this multi-trillion, which will be trillion one day, multi-trillion-dollar deal, if I could put a dent and make it, it's one thing I love about the pundit and all what we do and everything is differing opinions and get around and get everything. And so let's stop the chaos and let's start talking. And that's one of the things about it is that the media has done too much chaos. But I appreciate what you say, JB. You understand. I do appreciate you. I'm saying that I want to put a dent into this and let's get a little bit of a change going.
All right. Well, you know what?
You are, because you're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Scott's doing it.
Right.
Jeremy's doing it. Rick, Candy. We're all doing it. We're not the people that are out there that are doing the gotcha media BS. Yeah. We're covering the athletes as athletes.
Mm-hmm.
We're not looking to hang them out to dry or whatever. That's not our goal. So we are doing it. The problem is people like clickbait. It's what sells. So, and it's a sheeple problem. Yeah. People are sheeple. Once they stop and start thinking for themselves, this will all change. But I can tell you we all have a part in that. You know, the whole crew that went out to the Super Bowl, every NFL player that gets paid should be thanking every media member that packed Radio Row, went to opening night, covered all those events. Because why are they getting their paychecks? Because the NFL is the biggest thing, because everybody was out there, you know, and baseball and hockey and all these other sports got to figure that out. It's simple. The more coverage, the more money.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Candy, you're on the inside with me, and then I have some strong opinions comparable to what JB is, because obviously I've been around it a long time. But I want Candy to go first, and then JB, I'm with you, but I have a few other ideas as well. Go ahead, Candy.
So players are paid to perform, but in the NFL collective bargaining agreement, it states in there that they have to talk to, they agreed in their CBA collective bargaining agreement, they agreed to the press requirements, which means they need to talk to the media. Yes, the TMZs of the world and the sensationalized media, they don't have to, they can just say no comment when they talk about, if they ask questions that they don't need to. But like JB says, we're attracted to talking to them. It's to their advantage to talk to us. You know, look at how, let's face it. Let's look at how long Aaron Rodgers has been in the media since the off season. And he's not necessarily even going to play next year, but everybody's talking with him. Oh, he's going into a 4-day darkness, and we're all talking about it because we want to learn more. We want that. That raises his stock. That's why he's getting paid as much. That's raising all the NFL players' salaries, because we're still talking about the NFL season, and yet it's been over for how long? They need the media to help feed the advertisers, the advertising money to come in to pay them, the networks that are paying him, the online now, you know, let's do Prime, and they're paying how much to have one game, you know, a night on Thursday nights.
$78 million.
Exactly. They need the media to ask these questions to drum up more interest in their sport. Period.
All right. Well, now that everybody's had their say about it, I can tell you right now that without the media, nobody would know anything about these athletes. None of them, dating back to 9 million years later. Okay. Once upon a time, the NBA was on tape delayed. Okay. It stunk. It was buried. If it weren't Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, okay, nobody would care. And I'll tell you what, if you haven't recently noticed, the NBA's All-Star game was obviously the lowest rated one, obviously, in years. Number one, that was, numbers came in. Me, having been around these athletes a long time, okay, there are a lot of athletes that may be intimidated by the media, but I'm going to tell you one thing, okay? If you walk up to the average athlete and you address them respectfully, say, I'm not looking for clicks, okay? I'm just looking to be very honest and sincere, and you choose your words carefully, they will open up to you when they earn your trust. The problem is there are a lot of bad ones that make it hard for the good ones or to do our job, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't mind saying this, okay? I got into a little situation with somebody up in Daytona. Candy will say, I was just trying to get one question in, and that individual copped an attitude. All I wanted to do was my job, and she was a little annoyed that I was a little frustrated and went back. Too bad. I don't care, because I'm going to tell you one thing about NASCAR drivers. They love talking to the media because they're hungry to promote their sport. So say what you want about social media, attack us all you want, but like JB said, we're all in it. If we're not in it, what the hell are we doing here tonight? Hold on, Jeremy. Please let me finish, okay? Please, okay? So I understand a lot of what people are saying, but we are part of the media, whether we want to know it or not. Marshawn is part of the media, okay? He is, whether he knows it or not, okay? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. When you approach an athlete coach, like when I talked to Larry Bird, Coach Bird, you know, after he was done with his post-game stuff, can I ask you a question not related? Sure, because I addressed him in a proper way, and he was more than happy to talk to me. Sorry, Jeremy, but I was on a roll. I had to get my thought before I would have lost it. Go ahead.
What I was talking about, it's not I brought up social media as a joke, and I'm talking about the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok stuff. I'm not talking about the stuff we're doing. When I'm talking about the media in general, though, I'm talking about mainstream media.
Right. Well, so am I. I'm talking about it. But the problem is when you deal with athletes, okay, right now you've got so many different companies, whether they're broadcasts, whether they're newspapers or whatever, okay? And to me, the thing is it's all about how you approach the athletes and you know that you're sincere. Yeah, I don't like to write negative stories. I really don't. But you have to be objective too. And as long as it's all in the way you word it. Candy, what I'd like you to do, and I never thought I'd bring this up, I want you to make that reference to the one individual that thought that we were a fan type of thing. And when in retrospect, we don't even think that individual even knew what type of site. Just give a general characterization of it.
You just did. Basically, there's all kinds of media out there. And we were at, obviously, the Daytona 500, one of the biggest events for NASCAR. Is there a lot of media trying to get questions in and asking? Of course there is. And a lot of it is the big national news. And are we national? Well, yeah, we're on the internet, but we're not an AP. We're not a Reuters. But they had to limit the questions. Unfortunately, they were limiting us. They thought that we were more of just fans with a website instead of an actual news site that had that was getting feeds from NFL, MLB, NHL, NASCAR. So it sometimes is someone's opinion who should be asking questions as well.
Right. And I was annoyed by the individual because I don't feel she did her research on our publication to make such an idiotic statement. I'll leave it alone there. But the reality is if you approach an athlete respectfully, and they need us, okay, they really do, so that we can build them up. Okay, they really do. Whether it's NASCAR, the NHL. Did anybody notice that recently the NHL with the TNT and the ESPN, they're down 100,000 viewers from a year ago? Mm-hmm. I mean, this was supposed to be a move here that was supposed to get them more exposure, but they're losing their audience. So, and this is free advertising. So for, Marshawn Lynch, hey, listen, Steve Carlton, the only reason he didn't talk to the media many, many years ago is he was in the Philadelphia market. And they obviously must have said something to alienate him. But that was a different time frame back in the 70s and the early 80s. But now, obviously, they need us a lot more. And that's why I think this was such a hot topic. Hey, listen, you know what? There's no question that Marshawn Lynch has done a lot of really good things in the community. But you know what? He played the media well because he got back in it. I think Marshawn Lynch is a very shrewd individual. Being $1.2 million, nothing for this guy because now he's embracing it. And let me ask you another thing. All these athletes, okay, that to me don't like us, where do you think they go for jobs, right? Into the media, right? When their career days are over, they're on as analysts, play-by-play guys, and studio hosts, right? Or are they going out there becoming plumbers or regular day jobs? No, they're coming to us. They're going to the other side, okay? You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear all this stuff unless, and like you said, JB, we know the Super Bowl is, you've been there, the last 2 years now, LA and now,
yeah.
Is that correct? And I've been a part of at least 5 in person and 7 overall. And I'm going to tell you, many years ago, there were a lot of people, but they used to cart us all over town. And I'm going to tell you, the players love talking to you. Sometimes I think, which is a little difficult, is it's all in the certain media members, how they phrase a question. So you have to choose your words a little bit more carefully. But they need us more than we need them. I hate to say this. What do you think, JB?
No, I think it's very equal. Without them, I'm not talking. I could talk about sports, but I'm not going to get the same type of feel because I'm not in the game. And without us, they're not going to get the publicity.
Right. Well,
so I think it's very symbiotic.
Yeah, but regardless, and I come from a different era where we built it up to a point where it's symbiotic. But once upon a time, nobody knew anything about them, which is why I made my reference in the manner that I did. Now, obviously, the pendulum, as they say, is switching a little bit over where it's become more equal. But once upon a time, okay, it wasn't that way before. So I'm glad we had a chance to address this topic. I know it's a hot topic. That's why I thought it was important to address it. One other topic I want to get to, I know you guys got Confidential a little while. And only one more to go. And this should be a relatively easier one compared to the one we just got done with. The MLS is expanding their playoffs to 18 teams. So it's altering their format to top 9 finishers from each of its two conferences, but you got 62% of the league's teams. Is a regular season meaningful? Because I know all sports are increasing the amount of playoff participants. The NBA even has their play-in tournament. So, I guess we could just make this a very easy one. I want to give you guys parting shots, okay? At what point is enough where, what percentage should the playoff participation be? 62% appears to be a little too high for my taste. JB, I'm going to let you start off on this one.
Listen, the MLS is already in trouble because it's not very good with their play. If you sit there and watch any soccer, you're a soccer fan. European soccer is a million times ahead. The MLS has to first get better with their players. You can have every team make the playoffs. Right now, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm not watching it. And it's a shame because I can actually go to an MLS games. I have two teams close to me. So I would love to go if I thought the play was decent. As far as expanding the playoffs, everybody's doing it. I think, it's where the money is playoff games. It's a shame because it almost does make the regular season meaningless. But I think the key to the MLS is first increase the value on the field, and then you can have the playoffs like they are.
Fair enough. Rick?
I've been talking about soccer, as we call it here in the United States, football. We call it soccer. It's never going to be popular. I don't care what you do with it. You can set them on fire if you want. People are still going to watch football and basketball and Major League Baseball. MLS, like I said, Major League Soccer is a European Latino sport. Has it gotten popular? Yes. Will it ever overtake the other three sports? No. So whatever they do with it, I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. I have a team here that I could literally take a bus and I'll be uptown and I'm there. Am I going to go see it? Not really, because it's just, I'm not interested in it. So whatever they do, whether they expand, they can pay me $1 million to watch it. I'm just not interested. So like I said, it's never, ever going to be a popular sport. And I'm sorry, USA, they can get whoever they want. They're never going to win a World Cup. Sorry.
Well, and for whatever it's worth, they only scored 3 goals in the World Cup. So I don't know if the MLS is doing its job as a feeder league, but that may be for another topic down the line. All right, Jacob, what's your take? At what point or another, what number is enough when it comes to participation in the playoffs?
Well, this kind of hurts as far as the Major League Soccer and anything. When you expand leagues, well, it can be anyone. We'll just say this one here. When you expand leagues, it hurts players' option of getting extra money, and it hurts agents. It hurts all of them because it's one thing if you can be. Let's just say it became 6 teams each tomorrow, then you've made something. But 62% of the teams are getting in. How can any agent negotiate that? Duh. And here's how bad are you if you can't make it?
Right.
How bad are you? It's like, remember what the NBA's done with the play-in games, and LeBron couldn't even make it last year. And they might miss it again, and they have a play-in. And it's like, how much does it – and that's the thing. We already know LeBron's an all-time he's got the all-time scoring. But it's like, what does that do when you've built these teams and you can't even get to the play-in game, much less anything else? And that's the same with these. It's like, see, the biggest thing about the European soccer is they got relegation.
Right.
Here, we've got 62% of teams making a playoff. And it's like, that just shows how bad are you if you can't make it. And how bad are you as a player? How bad are you as a coach? How bad are you everywhere if you can't make that? So in that case, I'm for it. But in another case, it's kind of a participation trophy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the NBA has their play-in tournament. It's probably not bad, but I still don't like anything that you have to have a gimmick to try to keep it going. I'm not happy with it, but that's me. Jeremy?
I just don't understand why you'd ever have more than 50% of your league playing in a playoff. It makes no sense to me. If the NFL does it, that means they've expanded to 18 teams?
Right.
18 teams in the NFL does it, and it's so watered down, that the last 4 that get in have no shot of going anywhere. So it makes no sense.
Okay, fair enough. Candy?
So let's really think of what the drivers of this was. Apple, because Apple's going to now have some of their games on, so they're going to have more games to stream more ways to get more revenue. Teams' ticket sales are going to go up because they're going to have more playoff games. What's going to hurt? Let's face it, the problem with the new playoff format is you're going to have home games for all of those teams. So they're going to have more revenue. But the other thing is what does that do to, if I won the regular season outright, you're still going to play a 3-game series and 1 game's here, 1 game's there. You could be done. Your home field advantage isn't there because you won it outright. They're going to become like the NHL, and you're going to find that an 8 seed might go and win it all. And then how excited are people going to be? The other thing is it stretches the playoffs from October 25th till December 9th. And if the FIFA has a national team window from November 13th to the 21st, MLS might likely have to halt their games during that window. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. That's mine.
Well, I mean, I say 55% is where it tops out, and that's it. All right. Well, you know what? What I want to do now is when we get to our parting shots, I know Confidential is coming up shortly, so I want to be conscious of that situation. With that said, JB, give me your parting shot.
Listen, looking at coming back from the Super Bowl, seeing what the NFL does and working with the other leagues, I think, we spoke just a couple of minutes ago of how important it is for players to talk to the media and what we said about it. I think the other leagues have to find a way to have a Super Bowl type event where you can get media from all throughout the country to come in a room and have a radio row type situation and build up that sport, because for a week, the whole world stops in the sports world and it's all about the Super Bowl. Every legend that's ever been in the NFL that's alive walks through that room. They talk to 40 or 50 people a day. Me, who's been in the business under 5 years, talks to some of the greatest players of all time. And Sirius XM, which is the biggest radio thing going right now, talks to them as well. So, it puts everyone on the equal footing. It gets the NFL out there, and that's why they're number one by far. And the other sports need to learn how to find a way to do that, because it can be done.
Rick?
Well, we've been talking about like the media and all this, hypocrisy and all this stuff, but our athletes are hypocrites. And one hypocrite, well, I'm kind of surprised at Steph Curry. Come on, Steph. I mean, Steph Curry lives in a $30 million mansion, lives in Silicon Valley, where the average income is like $6 million. That's the average income where he lives, okay? And apparently he and some of his neighbors are petitioning to not have affordable family housing in his area. Now, this is the same Steph Curry that goes around, talks about equality and fairness, and we're all in the same league. Well, apparently not when you live in a $30 million mansion and you're rejecting family affordable housing. So, Steph, disappointed to hear that. He sounds like a hypocrite when he goes around. But a lot of these athletes are like that. They go around with their bullhorns and talk about this and talk about that. And majority of them live in rich white areas. Their kids go to rich white schools, and they have rich white neighbors. They're hypocrites, man. And some of these young people need to stop idolizing a lot of these athletes because they're hypocrites. Go idolize. You want a role model? Your parents, your teachers, somebody. These athletes are they're not role models, and a lot of them are just complete hypocrites. And unfortunately, Steph Curry falls in that same league.
Okay, Jacob.
JB, during one of our deals, you made a really good point to me. And I wasn't trying to ever knock what we do. I want to explain this. I saw a sign that was a little bit of a joke. It was saying, now hiring non-stupid people. I saw that. Everybody's seen this type of thought. Here's the thing. Maybe I'm angry because no matter which side you go to and which philosophy you are, the media is a show. Maybe I'm angry at that because I want information. The biggest thing I love with Sideline Sports is we go for information. Maybe I'm angry that we have too many stupid people and not enough non-stupid. Maybe I'm mad at that. Maybe JB had to remind me that we are media. He has to remind me all the time because I'm having fun here. We all want to, mind you, we all want to make money doing this, but I love this with every bit of my being. What we do is sideline sports. I love looking for what we do, trying to make money. I love doing the shows, everything. But the thing is, if I could put a dent into anything in this world, I'm part of 6 podcasts, 3 of my own. And if I could put any dent into this world before I go off the mortal coil, one day, hopefully that's 56 years, at least. If I can make that one thing, it's to put a dent in the stupidity of everybody. If I could try, if we could get anything. That means we all talk, we all get information, we agree, disagree, we do all that stuff, and we get information. Because it's supposed to be the information age. But we add just as much stupidity to it. And it's time we do. So what he says, we are changing something with sideline sports. I completely will agree, and I do forget that sometimes. I want sideline to be able to change things, make the big boys start to do the same thing. Let's quit the chaos. Let's get information. Let's quit the lying. Let's get some information out there.
Okay, Jeremy.
My parting shot is, we talk about players and their availability to media, and we talk about all these other things. But let's talk about somebody that, something that got swept under the rug, yet he's still considered one of the greatest ever and got to be there at the All-Star game judging on the panel of the NBA All-Star game for the dunk contest. And that's Karl Malone. When he was 20 years old, it was reported and proven that he got a 12-year-old girl pregnant. Yet that got swept under the rug and pushed aside so he could have a good career in the NBA and became an NBA darling. And then to have the NBA put him on an all-star panel judging thing like that, front and center, it's kind of disgusting.
Okay. Candy?
I never thought my parting shot would ever be this, but kudos to the PGA Tour and the LPGA. They're joining forces this fall. They're going to play together in a Grant Thornton Invitational, a new co-sanctioned tournament the tours were announced Wednesday. The event debuts December 4th through the 10th in Naples, Florida. They're going to compete for equal prize money, and it'll be the first time the organizations host an annual mixed team competition since the JCPenney Classic in 1999. I have never been a huge fan of watching golf on TV. The thought that they're going to have a mixed event, men and women, that intrigues me. It might get me to watch. Good, and kudos for them for doing that kind of event.
All right. I don't have a parting shot. I have a parting comment, but a very good one. Okay. I want to send a special shout out to my good friend Russell Branham. He's the man that I look at as a brother that gave me the flexibility to cover motorsports in the manner I do, aggressively. Plus allowed me to drive several laps around the Homestead Miami Speedway, topping 147.54 miles an hour. We worked together at Talladega, Miami, and he made sure that he exerted his influence so that I could cover the Rolex 24 and Sunday's incredible Daytona 500, won by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Great story in itself because you had Brad Dory, an African-American owner, finally winning in a one-car ride. But what makes Russell so special is he accepted me the way I am. He knows that I'm one of those kinds of people that asked the tough questions. He gave me instantaneous respect from the moment I met the guy. I talked to him on the phone, and then we met in Miami and credentialed me short on Talladega. So I'm going to say this because I know I want Russell. Hopefully we'll probably watch this. Russell Branham is a man of his word, and the world needs more like him. I love this guy. I've only known him a short period of time, but if there could be a guy that I would put on a Xerox copier and Xerox him 9 million times, Russell Branham would be it. Again, I'm not knocking any communications individual at Daytona or anywhere, but there's certain individuals that you gravitate to over a short period of time. Candy, why don't you describe the relationship that I've had with Russell, because you know how much I think the world of this guy.
I think you just did by telling everybody that you love him. He respects you. I mean, it's in a world where there's a lot of disrespect, a lot of negativity. He brings out positivity and he brings out the best in you and allows you to ask the questions.
Yeah, and again, everybody has a right to ask questions. I'm not here, but Russell, you know what? When we were doing these things in the post game, and I know JB and Jacob are leaving in a moment, but you know what? Russell's the kind of guy, whatever you want me to do, I'll run through a wall with you, Russell, because anytime you treat somebody with respect, you can always expect to get it back. So Russell, once again, I love you very much. Thank you for everything. And I feel very proud that I was able to cover Talladega, Miami, the Rolex 24, and the Daytona 500 over the last several months. That to me has been a lifetime full of thrills. And I certainly look forward to doing more things, whether it's with Russell or not. And we did a podcast together on our own as well. So Russell, I love you. Look forward to talking to you soon. And hopefully there'll be more things for us to do. So meanwhile, with that said, JB, let everybody know they get a hold of you.
JB_ the program. Switch over in about 7 minutes to watch Confidential right at JB_ the program or at Sideline Sports 1. And don't forget Tuesday, 8:30, Sideline Sports. I'm going to drop off, guys, so I can go prepare.
All right. Thanks, JB. That's why I let off with you. Okay.
Thank you, man.
You're welcome. All right, Jacob, you can go next as you're following them.
I'm part of 6 different shows. And I'm part of doing everything but being on the same show with Stephen A. Smith, and that's probably not far off. I think.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I enjoy working with you on Pundit and the best.
We had a great show tonight, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did. So meanwhile, go ahead and follow JB to Confidential. I love our double headers on Wednesday. It was great to be back. So, all right, that leaves the 4 of us so we can just kind of relax a little bit more. All right, Smoke and Jeremy, you're going to stay on a little bit later, but let everybody know your info anyways.
Well, you can always find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com, at the Motor City Tribune under the list of authors, where you can find my editorials about the Lions and other various NFL football topics. You can also find me at Kneecap Biting with Smoke and Jeremy B, where I do a show every other Wednesday this off season covering the NFL, and every Friday I cover the Lions specifically. Then you can find me on any of the shows on the South Florida Tribune channel, and I bounce around from here, there, and everywhere.
Rick?
You can find me on my website, www.charlottebats.com. We have a petition on there, and please sign it. We're trying to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats, Twitter, Charlotte Bats Baseball, and I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. And if you have any comments or questions, you can email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
And I should point out, Rick does a sensational job promoting all the South Florida Tribune content on social media. We're very grateful. And of course, he appears on a fair amount of shows. He's a very versatile individual. And every now and then he's come a long way. He's actually learning how to be a journalist. So that's good stuff. I get some of my crazy habits rubbed off on you just a little bit. All right, Candy, take us home.
So if you like this show, you can find others on South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Like, share. Want to be a part of it? Send us an idea and maybe we'll put you on as a guest next time. You can hear all of our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. Hit that red subscribe button, like, share any of our Sports Exchange. We have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Inside the Pigskin, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Florida, Fire Up. We have Real in the Rare. We have No Limits. We have Fire Up Wisconsin. Let me think if I'm missing any, because there's all kinds of them. You guys got to come and check us out. www.southfloridatribune.com or email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com.
And of course, you see my Twitter information at Tribune South as well. So, Candy, well done. Great job by Jacob and JB. I know that Sideline has a pretty packed triple header between Pundit, our show, and now obviously Confidential at 10 o'clock. So, meanwhile, great broadcast tonight. Really enjoyed it. Talked on some pretty interesting topics as well. And is
One
there
last
anything?
thing, Scott? One last thing. You can always check our Chicks in a Pod. There's 3 Chicks in a Pod on the Sideline Tuesday night lineup, or we do Chicks and Salsa. So Tuesdays at 7:30, check out one of the chick show. We started it first before anybody else.
Yeah, you sure did. And you guys do it awfully well. You gals, I should say. So, but meanwhile, on behalf of Candy Ebling, Rick Curdy, Smoking Jeremy B, my name is Scott Morgan, Ralph Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We hope you all have a good night. We look forward to seeing you on next Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.